Going to a good secondary school may not always be the solution.
You see like primary school questions, which a lot of us can't even solve. That's when you realize, oof, it's getting tougher.
A key milestone in your parenting journey is when your child starts formal education at the age of 7. Despite recent changes in the educational system to move away from an overemphasis on academic results, the reality is that tuition and enrichment centers are thriving, and the assessment book industry is booming more than ever.
I guess in Singapore, it can be a bit demanding, but I also guess it's really for everyone's good because in a way, they learn a lot of things.
It is demanding, but having said that, there's a lot of changes and improvements that have been made.
It's good that for lower primary now they scrape off examinations. Not so stressful on the kids and the parents.
Sophie has started Chinese classes on Sunday mornings. Yeah, because we realized Mandarin is really tough to pick up. And furthermore, we don't actually converse a lot in Mandarin at home.
To us, we have this philosophy of trying to teach everything as much as possible on our own. Of course, having said that, must remember that we are teachers. So we are used to teaching, maybe we have the patience, but we understand that maybe not all parents have that inclination.
As much as we want to raise well-balanced kids, who don't buckle under pressure, but academically the demands of being in the Singapore education system is so high, and if you don't keep up, you'll fall behind. And when you fall behind, you don't get the opportunities you want or you're looking for.
Sometimes we also feel like if we don't enroll her in certain classes, to boost her academic skills, what if next time she doesn't do as well in a specific subject, and then what if it falls onto us, oh no, we feel bad, maybe we should have done so when she was younger, that kind of things.
Whether it's really necessary and giving the child sufficient space to be able to have unstructured play, I do think that that's also important. And that said, there are some children who may need that extra support. It's a critical question for parents to answer before they engage in any of these external services.
In order to get their children to study, many parents resort to nagging or scolding, which may negatively affect the parent-child relationship. How should parents respond if their children are not motivated in school?
His motivation, I will be honest, is not that great. We are hoping that he will improve. He has over the year by a lot. More important is we want that sustained interest in learning. He loves nature, he loves science, he loves animals, and he can remember the scientific name even of the animals. Only that is not required in school at this point. But we don't want him to kill off the interest by telling him, okay, you must do maths, this is not important now.
I guess from probably our point of view, we don't enforce it. We try to see what else she's interested in, and then we try to promote that instead.
Realistic study goals, I think, would really depend on the parent's assessment of their child's abilities. I think that would be important. Sometimes it's possible to give a child a really difficult goal, a stretch goal, a little challenge, so that the child is able to see, hey, I can do this if I really tried. And the child might discover something about him or herself.
Whether your kids attend a primary school or are homeschooled, all of them have to face the dreaded 4-letter word in primary 6, PSLE, the Primary School Leaving Examination.
I think it's a big milestone for the primary 6ers, and it's a big thing for the parents also.
The preparation should not come at the very last minute. For us, we will try to put in as little pressure as possible. Expectation-wise, of course, we will have discussed with them what their expectations and what our expectation, and hopefully it meets somewhere in the middle. I have been a teacher in secondary school. If you go to a good secondary school, yeah, you got the name, you got maybe good system, good structure, but then the child will maybe be stressed from all the competition and expectations from teachers. They might be doing okay, but then the rest of the class is doing much better, and so they are still the worst in class. That will be putting a lot of pressure on him. It's also not good for their morale, their self-confidence.
And I think a little bit of stress is not harmful, but having too much stress and having the child kind of really freezing and going into a breakdown because they're worried about the exam. Of course, that would be really unhealthy. Honestly, the PSLE and different examinations are really not going to be the most stressful thing that the child faces in his or her life. I think that giving the children the knowledge, the skills, and nurturing the right kind of attitude to take on this particular challenge is probably more important.
While this period of parenthood may be preoccupied with academic concerns, your child is not just about his or her grades. He or she is growing into a unique person with a distinct set of characteristics, interests, and ideas. As a parent, you can encourage your kid to blossom in areas beyond school grades.
We know academics is important, but we want her to grow as her own person rather than, have all A's in their results, but not know what they want as a person. So for us, it's more about personal growth.
When we engage him in sports, like when he learns certain skills or certain tricks for skateboarding, it's not a first time he can do it. So of course there are tantrums, and he will like, I don't want to do. But that's when we will tell him, to be patient and to persevere. And when he actually succeeded, you can see the pride in his face, and he will want to do it again and again. So it teaches him a lot of values that you cannot find in a classroom setting.
The first 6 years of formal education can be intense for children, with the expectation to be more independent, a challenging learning environment, and a major national examination to take with the PSLE. It is during this time that they are also unlocking new knowledge and a better understanding of their strengths and interests. As parents, it's important to fuel this love for learning that can last throughout their children's lifetime.
You've got a goal, you've got an interest, you pursue it to the best of your ability. I think that's good enough for us.
The values that they have are anchor to their lives, and I hope they also understand how important building up these values are. It doesn't matter whether they pass an exam or they fail an exam. I feel that with this right foundation, they can be successful in whatever that they venture out to do.
Thinking about the necessary knowledge, skills, and attitudes, I think would be also fundamental, because those are things that are transferable across different challenges, and I think it would serve the child well to be able to develop these important skills so that they will be able to undertake challenges later on. And also thinking about how they can make friends and be a friend for someone else. I think those are really important things that hopefully every child is able to have when they graduate.